Welcome to the Diva Details. Welcome to the Diva Details, where bold, confident women embrace life unapologetically. From love and sex to wellness and reinvention, we keep it raw, real, and powerful. No filters, no limits. Just fearless conversations to help you thrive. Let's dive in with Diva Mia and Diva Khat.
Aloha, Diva Khat.
Hello, Diva Mia.
How are you today?
I'm good.
How have you been lately?
I've been busy.
Well, I know this is our podcast, and we are blessed to have
So
an
excited.
energy healer with us today. She is world-renowned.
Wow.
She's an amazing person. She is a clairvoyant and Reiki healer, and she owns a company called Aligned Guidance, and she's absolutely amazing.
Wow.
She is so incredible. She is going to walk us through what you need to do to heal from PTSD, from divorce, from tragedy, and she's going to help us along the way to realize what we need to do in life to move on to the next step and to level up.
That's amazing. That's very amazing.
How you doing, Diva Kathryn?
I'm amazing. Thank you for having me today.
We can't wait to have you. We were so excited to have you on today.
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wanted to kind of just get started with what exactly it is that you do to help people through divorce. Now, I've used you personally. I can give recommendation after recommendation for you, but you're amazing and you help people heal when they go through a divorce or if they've gone through other types of tragedies or losses. And you've been such a fundamental part of my healing journey that I wanted to have you on as soon as possible.
It's amazing. I'm so glad to hear that I've impacted you and your soul in such an amazing way.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us kind of what you do.
So I help women to uncover, discover, dig deep, and help transform the trauma of leaving a relationship and redefining who they are now that they're like in this new realm, because we're one person when we're in a marriage, and then another person we have to like find our new identity and really like untap what we want and like unravel all the fears that come along with that, you know, going from 2 incomes to 1, and like, who am I now that I'm alone in this space, and working through loneliness and the process that it takes to coming home to yourself. And a lot of that really is like creating emotional safety, learning to trust yourself, finding your voice again, and working through the trauma and like whatever it looked like for you in the relationship. So I use somatic practices and energy healing to help build emotional awareness and like begin to separate old patterns to establish trust in yourself. And I coach you through to your new self or your, you know.
Yeah, I know when I was going through it, I was going through kind of an identity crisis as well. So I was struggling. I was completely struggling. And I think that you were so integral in helping me realize that I needed to get back to who I was and realize that I am more than I used to be and to find the new me. And I think that was so perfect for the problems that I was going through. And I needed that so much. When you do your energy healing, let's just kind of start at the very beginning. How do you start when a new client comes in? What do you do first when you're like gathering information about their situation, trying to figure out what they need, et cetera? How do you start? How do you begin?
So usually I begin with a conversation over the phone and just like find out what their current struggles are and discover really like, you know, what's holding them back from their true passion and purpose. And that's one thing. Seated wounding is around like, what's their biggest challenge right now in their lives? You know, for you, when you walked in the door, you know, it was a lot of excitement about like who I'm going to be in this new like realm and reality. And then there's also like, you know, anger of like giving yourself away in a way that no longer serves you, and that abandonment we do to ourselves when you give yourself to this marriage. I mean, obviously, like we all have, those of us that have been married before can identify with that part of us that feels like. So as a healer, I work with people who have energy blocks as well as emotional entanglements. And in that, I break free the ties from the ex relationship so that you have freedom in your own space to grow and heal and then manifest from that place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Does that
I
answer?
remember when I was going through it, we had a conversation on the phone at the very beginning. And then when I come in for each session, we kind of talk a little bit. It's kind of almost like a therapy session just to kind of unwind what I've got that's troubling me, if you will. And that helps out a lot too, to kind of focus the session, I think, into exactly what needs to be accomplished. And I will say I remember one situation after my divorce where I gave you a call because I was crying and I couldn't stop. Do you remember that time? And I was like, I'm crying and I can't stop. It just won't turn off.
Oh, wow.
And I was broken. I mean, that's the only word I have for it. And I was like, it won't turn off. And I came to see you and I was still crying and it just wouldn't turn off. And I didn't know what to do. And you calmed me down. You settled my nervous system, which was amazing. And you helped clear me, which I don't even know how you did it. And I felt so much better after that session. I wasn't happy. I wasn't like jumping off, like goo goo gaga, but I was calm. And the calmness allowed me to move forward. And I think when you're going through a divorce, it's baby steps. It's one step at a time. And you have to go through the healing. Now, some people go faster than others, but you still got to feel it. And sometimes you have to go step by step and feel the pain, but you saved me from not being able to function, which I have children and not being able to function would have been absolutely terrible. So blessings for you. Absolutely.
Thank you. And going deeper into that, I just want to say that, being a willing participant in the healing process by showing up in your tears and allowing yourself to have the freedom to move through that, because we can't go over it. We can't go under it. We have to go through it. And that's how the healing works. The energetic healing and chakra balancing work because you are a willing participant who shows up and is capable and willing and honest about what you're feeling in that moment, whether it's fear, anger, worry, doubt, all the feelings that we have around walking into this new realm of reality. And that sadness that was present that day, I am capable and able to just really be present with it, talk to that feeling and share with you the patterns that likely are the things that we stuff, which, those are the things that are coming up for the day. And that's what's present for healing and those patterns of judgment we have on ourselves of how did I stay here so long, and that push down or that chipping away that happens of our soul because we stayed in a dysfunctional relationship for far too long.
Yeah. And I think that that's part of the identity crisis too, because then, I think a lot of people that come out of marriages, we're smart women. We have to analyze inside of ourselves why we allowed ourselves to stay in a marriage that was broken or not working or not functioning. A lot of times we stay because of societal pressures. We stay because we think we have to for the kids. But in reality, we're losing part of ourselves. And you have to regain all of that back when you go through the divorce. What are you going to say, Diva Khat?
No. So when people walked into you, do you feel the energies already or do you have to talk to them first?
Sometimes I can feel their energy before they're actually even at my door. So, there's a lot of times where I get a download before it actually occurs, before somebody even walks into my office, right? So it really depends on the person. It depends on the situation. And the way a usual session works is the person sits down across from me and we talk about what's happening in their lives right now. And then oftentimes I feel in my body what's stuck or stagnant in theirs. So then we talk about what's going on in your heart? Why do I feel this anxious feeling? Because that's how my senses as a healer present themselves. I call it clear sentient. Where I feel it in my body. And then I know that's the area that needs to be focused on.
I see.
Or if there's stagnation in the neck or something like that.
That's interesting. My acupuncturist has the same type of feeling when he knows where to put, he knows the channels, but then he feels the tightness. He can feel the tightness in my body without even touching me, really. So he's a similar type of sentient. Is that what you called it? Yeah, sentient. He has the same type of abilities.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a crucial part of healing. I think you have to identify your gifts, and it's a gift to have this. It's an amazing gift. And the nice thing is that you've been so flexible. I know you book up. So anybody that wants to book with you, I know you also do online and virtual consultations. So people that want to do virtual, they can also do virtual consultations with you. So if you can't make it to your location, there's a way to do it virtually because you can feel people's vibes, guys. Vibes are huge and energy is huge. And people don't realize how connected we all truly are. And healing needs to be, multifaceted. It's not just going to a therapist. It's not just going to a coach. You need multiple things to heal. Please describe it as my therapist was taking me from my current situation, fixing my childhood traumas and my past. My coach was taking me from my current situation and having me set goals for my future. And my energy healer is fixing my present, which will fix my future. So I needed all three because my present, she helped me through the present now more so than my therapist or my coach. The present now has to be with some type of energy healer because you're stuck a lot of times when you get divorced. You're blocked and you need someone that can assist you so you can move on because people don't realize how stuck people get.
I just want to say something further about the stagnation and the blocks because the other aspect of not just working with the chakras, but it's really about rewiring our belief systems around love and relationships and our visibility. Because I know for me in my traumatic marriage, I had to stifle myself or get small and then learning how to free myself and give myself this new elevation, right? Working on anchoring new self-worth and our soul trust, where my truth is I know that I'm, here for a purpose and a reason. And I fortunately get to channel energy as my job, as my vocation. And I get to embody divine feminine energy, as a receiver of this channel. And then teaching women how to practice boundaries and communicate and learn to speak, use their voice, and then honoring themselves and making new choices so that they can expand into their passion and purpose and alignment for their truth.
Do you work with men as well?
I do.
Okay.
I do, actually.
So men that are going through, because I know a lot of men, when they go through divorce or tragedies as well, or death of a spouse, they get stuck too. Some people even get stuck when their kids go off to college. I mean, we don't even address that, but empty nesting is a tragedy for some people. So
I might have to help. You might have to help me.
Some people get stuck for that.
Yeah.
So it's needed to, clear our minds. And there's a book that talks about the issues in your tissues. Feel emotions deeply in your body. And sometimes your body gets stuck. You can't lose weight because you've got emotional trauma in it. And this helps that as well.
Yes, absolutely. Just to address the empty nester syndrome, I think a lot of women in midlife are going through identity crises because if you've been a mother, a stay-at-home mom for 15, 20 years or whatever, and now your entire purpose has to change. So really, who am I now that my child is off to college? And, or as far as men goes, whether you're a seeker or you are looking for higher purpose or passion, a lot of men are really on this consciousness path as well and want to dive deeper. Whether you have a physical ailment that, gets you in the door, the truth is we all have trauma in the system or issues in the tissue. And whether it's karmic from a past life, or if you're having inflammation in your body, whether it's worry that causes some kind of underlying issue, a lot of times we can circle it back to the first 8 years of our lives. And there's a lot of healing that you and I did too around your early childhood wounding. And that has a lot to do with the work that I do as well, so that you can free yourself from those old tapes and recognize that this was my unconscious thought and that you consciously create a new thought that then rewires your brain so that it changes what you're thinking, how you're speaking to yourself and others, and what we're feeling.
Yes. So in the beginning, I think I came to you more to just survive. And I was in survival mode just to get through the day. And as I went on and I started to heal, now that I'm surviving, how can I become more stable? and make sure that I have stability in my life and things are functioning. And now we're looking towards success. I mean, we're propelling me now to the next level. It's like you're a life coach at the same time you're healing my energy paths, because now I'm looking towards how can I grow in the future and make sure that I'm directing my energy in the right way and focusing in the right way to, take on the world again. And that, I mean, it's been such an amazing journey, I must say, because I have loved growing through this process. And the process, you think that, it's really tough. And if anybody's in the beginning of a divorce, I feel your pain. I truly feel your pain. The reality is though, once you get through it, you're going to be so much stronger, but you got to go through it. And I think a lot of people get stuck in the pain or stuck in the grief and they don't move past. And you're just so integral in helping someone move past the stuckness. In the very beginning, I said, I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to get stuck. I don't want to be stuck because I've seen so many women. I mean, I know a woman that she's been divorced for 6 years, hasn't gone on any dates. She hates men. She blames her ex-husband for cheating with the younger woman. She's like, all men just want younger women. I'm like, I'm dating younger men and I'm dating older men. I'm out there, dating around and trying to find my new path forward. So I don't think that you should ever get stuck. And if you're stuck, you need to find an energy healer. You just do, and a really good one to help you get unstuck.
But a lot of people don't believe in that. They don't admit that they get stuck. They just think like things will happen naturally. The time will heal them. They don't seek out to see people like you.
I'm a believer that time doesn't heal all wounds. It actually numbs them. I don't think time heals wounds. I think it numbs it. But the time is not what heals it. You have to be aggressive about your healing. You have to you have to face it face first, head on, or however you say it. Right. Because if you don't, you do get stuck. And you have to feel, I remember feeling inside of me when I talked about some of the other steps I've taken. Whenever I got nervous about something or it made me uneasy, I would go towards it because I knew that I needed to heal that part because it gave me anxiety. And that's something, whenever you have anxiety, most people run away from it. Most people don't go towards it.
You don't go over or under. You
got to go through it. You got to go through it. Exactly what Kathryn said.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Diva Kathryn.
So, a couple of things that I just want to address based on what you were talking about. The friend that hasn't dated in 6 months.
6 years.
6 years. Living in that anger is a containment, right? And so working with me basically allows you to hold that container of anger and remove it from your system in order to be able to have a different experience. The other thing that you mentioned, I think a lot of women find distractions to numb their feelings so that they don't have to feel what's happening in their body. My job as a healer and a coach is to really get you to recognize and be accountable to those feelings. If you're willing and honest and open, you can heal. If you're distracted and finding other ways to numb the pain, that's a survival mechanism that no longer works for us. And in order to move through the things that are woundings, in order to be able to free yourself so that you can have a new experience, set aside what you know and what you think you know so that you can have a new experience, so that we can clarify our soul's purpose and mission and align. So the distractions are the outward things that we do, right? Whether it's food or addiction or men or things that serve us, temporary fix. But ultimately, when we connect to source and ground in our power, we have this newfound empowered goddess sense of self that allows us to know our worth in a deeper way and to trust that I will not accept crumbs. You will not accept crumbs. And that's another layer of what we go through working working with me is knowing your worth, deepening your sense of self and trusting that next layer.
I love distractions. I have to say I love distractions. When you're in a lot of pain, I understand the purpose of them. And I loved distracting myself in the very beginning. And I think it's because when you're healing in the beginning, you're going in circles. You're not actually moving anywhere. You're trying to move forward. You're going a little bit forward and then you're coming right back. I think the distractions make you feel like you're actually accomplishing something because otherwise you're just like, what am I doing? But you don't realize the distraction is actually holding back. And I think that the distractions that I had were such an interesting thing that I finally, when you got me to stop using distractions, then I actually started, elevating myself higher faster. The distractions were definitely holding me back. Absolutely. But one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about as well is, so we've talked about people going through divorce or empty nesters. What about people that have suffered from rape or molestation, or they've just had some type of trauma that has happened to them? Do you help those as well?
Yes. Let me just say that distractions can be pleasurable, and our brains need like that dopamine fix so that we feel good, right? Because when you're on a healing journey and you're grieving, I think that it doesn't always feel good. So therefore, that love for distraction is like, I want to feel good. So it's a natural human response to not wanting to always like feel the pain or numb the pain. And the distraction actually serves a purpose for a period of time. And some live there for longer than others.
Yes.
And then you mentioned
people with PTSD or from like a childhood rape or even in the military or someone that has suffered a recent rape or something that was so tragic, could be a child's death. Those types of people, they get really stuck and knotted up as well and can't function. So how do you help them?
Yeah. So my energy field is already changing, just like having this conversation, because it's deep-seated pain that's in the tissue in a way where women who have suffered from sexual trauma and or grief of a loss of some sort, because not only is sexual trauma, there's shame attached, unnecessary shame, might I say, because it's really not our fault. At the same time, somehow women have a tendency to make it our fault. And so like really knowing and cultivating this authentic self has to do with letting go of anxiety or self-doubt or what it's supposed to look like. I've had amazing transformational experiences with clients who have had sexual trauma where it has left the system. When I do that kind of work, it really moves through the body in such a way that I can't really explain it, but there's astral attachments, or how do I use this in layman's terms? It's hard to describe, but there's a soul connection, like an entity of sorts, that attaches to our being that needs to be removed and healed and transmuted. With women who've lost a child, the grief in the heart and the separation, I tend to work with their chakras, cords, and kind of reconnect the cords so that your child will always be with you. And in fact, I know for certain that I've had experiences with spirits where they're present in the room, and or even if they're not here in physical, I know that they're present by flickering lights and or signs and symbols, or there's like goosebumps.
Yeah.
You ever had that experience?
Yes,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so that is, it takes layers, So I often prescribe more sessions when someone has dealt with rape or trauma in the sexual realm and or grief from, losing a child, because there's shock
Yeah.
to the system that needs layers of healing.
I have come to you for a couple sessions in a week, a couple times when I was having a really rough week. But in the beginning, I was kind of set on once a week. And then it kind of has slowed down to maybe once every 2 weeks now. And I like that pace because it allows me to refocus and really dive into the stuff I need to dive into. One of the things you told me in the very beginning that has really resonated with me is that when you are coming out of a divorce or dealing with a tragedy or a trauma, you really need to think of yourself as a butterfly and have a cocoon, your chrysalis, right? You have your chrysalis when you're coming out of a tragedy and you're growing into that butterfly. And you need to keep the people around you small so they don't damage you in your chrysalis. And you were like 5 people, no more. 5 really good friends that you can keep around you. And that's who you need to heal with. And they need to be people that will support you and not people that damage you. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. So your vibe attracts your tribe, right? When we elevate, we're looking to create people who are safe, supporting, and loving. And therefore, you don't want anyone in your field or in your bubble that is critical by nature or demeaning or damaging to your healing journey. So in that, it's important that you recognize, like, who are my 5 people? Like, I can count on one hand who I would go to in a difficult situation. Who are the people that are safe, loving, and supportive that can hold me in a way? And the whole chrysalis thing, it's very sacred when you're newly raw out of a divorce and you need calming energy around you. And then as time goes on, you can flourish and get your wings. And once your wings are dry, you become this transformative being where you're living your authentic self in a higher state, right? We align with our higher realm so that you can really connect in a new and different way. And then you elevate to the next level where you can meet your potential new partner from this new state of grace that you've created because you're an empowered self and no longer willing to accept those crumbs that were once a part of the old story.
Yeah. I think that was crucial. I remember that was probably maybe a month or so into my healing when you told me that. I think it was crucial because I had some friends at the time that were like, come on, Diva, Mia. They didn't call me Diva, but come on, Mia. It's already been 3 months. Why haven't you healed already? And I was like, wow. And they were good friends prior to my divorce, but they were not supportive when I was going through my divorce. And I realized after our conversation, because actually that happened right after our conversation, that I needed to find friends that would be supportive and not try to rush me along the process. I'm pretty fast at moving along the process myself, but they were like, it was bad. I was 28 years with one person and they wanted me to be healed in 3 months. So I was like, what the Because every once in a while, when you're still healing, you'll have a day, you might have great days. And then out of nowhere, you'll have a day where you just cry and you just kind of got to let it out. Or something reminds you of something and it makes you upset. So yeah, you need people that will support you, not try to shame you into healing.
So yes, that's triggering the push, right? So a lot of times people mean well. But at the same time, if they're pushing you into a way of being that you're not feeling you're ready for, then it doesn't feel like in alignment with what's true and right now, or like it's not a win-win for you.
Yeah.
The people in your circle need to feel like it's okay to express a boundary and feel good about my newfound voice so that I feel empowered to be able to speak my truth in front of you and you're not going to get your feelings hurt. And even if you do, you can talk to me about it. That's a true friendship and or relationship that's worthy of building up, right? Or feeling worthy of reciprocal love. Because a lot of times we have to go through that place of do I deserve this newfound love that I'm experiencing now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And first, we have to find a way to give it to ourselves, right?
Now, I took a couple months off, maybe 3 months after my divorce, before I actually started working with you. I wish I would have started sooner. I actually wish I would have started while I was going through the divorce and not wait till after I was fully divorced, because I was kind of a wreck during the divorce. And I think you could have helped me get through some of the struggles of the divorce a little bit easier as well. I think sometimes we think we can do it ourselves. I'm kind of pig-headed that way. I think I can do things myself. I think I can recover and heal myself completely. When you're struggling, that's when we need other people. I don't think we realize how much we need other people. We need people that aren't necessarily our friends, because I was helping a person through his divorce. I did as much as I could, but I realized that at a certain point, I was a sounding board for him to complain to, not someone that he could heal with. He was, he wanted to just be sad with me, and I had to take a step back. I encouraged him to go through therapy and find an energy healer. I don't know if he has, but I had to take a step back because I think I was enabling his pain to continue, if that makes sense. So I think people that can actually direct the pain and direct the healing is what you need, not someone that you can just go and vent to all the time. That's what you do, is you help heal the pain and pull some of the bad cords off of us. If you can talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, but the problem, a lot of people don't believe in that. Do you know what I mean?
I can't change people's beliefs. There's nothing I can do when people won't believe.
Yeah.
But when you actually experience it firsthand, and here's the thing, Kathryn will tell you, I wasn't a big believer. When I walked in that door, I was like, okay, I'm a very analytical, logical person. When I walked in the door, I was like, okay, we'll see what this will do. That's why it took me 3 months to meet with her, because my friend that referred me to you told me all how amazing you were. And I just didn't really believe it, because I'm not into the hookoo poko, whatever. When the type,
The woo-woo stuff.
woo stuff.
Right, the woo-woo stuff.
My background's in engineering, right? Computers.
Right.
Not
And
into
I
woo.
absolutely love helping people create an open mind around what that's like. And in the first 3 months of somebody walking through a divorce, they're scattered and shattered, and finding the courage to invest in themselves is part of what happens to women who are newly going through a divorce, like deserving this healing process and walking through it with someone. I do feel like it's like talk therapy, but it's on a deeper, visceral level, because on an energetic level, there's wounding of feelings of inadequacy or worthiness pieces or worried or anxiousness, like all these things, they're stuck in our systems, and learning how to talk about those things in a way. I know that energy healing goes way deeper than talk therapy, because it's emotional, physical, mental, spiritual. And so we are physical beings we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And the depth of what that looks like is tailored differently to every single person that I work with, because everybody's emotions and needs are different. So I use my intuition and track progress with each client to help work with their individual wounding so that they can really have this like rebirth.
That's what it feels like. Yeah.
The midlife rebirth.
Mm-hmm. That's the way to put it. Yeah.
That's the way to do it. I even went to Miraval. I know you know what Miraval is. Miraval's a resort where you go to heal, and they have different types of massage and yoga and sound baths and relaxation spas. And that I went from being very analytical, just as you're saying, some people don't believe, to going all in on this and just trying to really get back to who I am as a person and feel my feminine energy, which I think I was completely disconnected from for a very long time, and was very much into my masculine energy. So I kind of dove headfirst into this too. And when I did, it took such a weight off.
I also want to address the skepticism, because as a human, we have reason, will, and emotion, right? So a lot of times your reason is what's the front runner, let's say. So those people, like, they come from a place of, I think whatever you think, right? Whereas someone who's more of an emotional being, they feel. So they speak, I feel worried or, concerned. Whereas somebody who lives in their will centers is, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make this happen. So as a reader, as a body reader and intuitive, I see that like skeptics often come from a reason state where they're like thinking from their head most of the time. So it's hard for them to make decisions from their emotional state. And this state of like, our head to our heart is a 12-inch like differentiation. But oftentimes when we're stuck in trauma, we don't know how to think our way through, how to feel our way through. There's a big gap in between knowing how to drop down into your heart to feel what your body's feeling, because we're so analytically engineered to be in school for 12 years thinking our way through. When I teach you how to really like live in your heart and find a way how to uncover the stuck places, whether you're overgiving or abandoning yourself or second guessing. We second guess ourselves because what our heart wants isn't always what our head wants. You know what I'm saying?
So when you come into a session, you want to go through kind of how it starts and what the flow is?
So after I get an idea of what's here now, whether someone is coming in from a brand new divorce and really wants to work through the feelings, anger, sadness, disappointment, the grief and the loss that comes from, I thought this was going to be my person forever, or thank God I'm free of this narcissistic bullshit, right? So it really depends on
you can
where
have
the
both.
person is.
You can still have both.
Yes. And then allowing that person to have all those feelings.
Yeah.
And then once we've talked about some of the things that are present and ripe for healing, I put the person on the table and then I do a scan on their body and their being and like see, feel, sense into what needs to be healed. A lot of times with women, their heart chakra has a connection to this previous partner, and learning how to disconnect that other person's energy from their field so that they can have more freedom and learn to speak their truth and be more intuitive in who they are becoming.
Yes.
Becoming.
And when you say table, she means massage table.
Massage table. Oh.
Yeah. And I will say, since I've been doing this work, I have been more open to see signs in my life that come about and receive. Before, I think I blocked a lot of what was out there, and that was good for me because I was blocked as a person. And now I'm open to receiving signs from the universe or signs from things that happen. I see coincidences now, and I'm like, what can I learn from this? What's this lesson going to teach me? I will say that this energy healing it's really transformed my life completely.
I also want to say that I can do this work remotely and sense and feel into a lot of, Diva Khat has a lot of questions, unanswered questions in her being. Like I can see that she's skeptical still.
This is all new to me, so I had a lot of questions in my head.
Yeah. So the energy healing is actually, I think, doesn't it come from a lot of Asian practices as well?
Yes. So my background, I was a massage therapist in my previous life. And in school, we had a lot of Eastern theory. So I learned a lot about acupuncture, acupressure, and the different ways in which if you wake up between 3 and 5 o'clock in the morning, your liver has dampness. And therefore, it's one of the things where like our body speaks to us in so many different ways. So reading into the signs of like what's happening in your body, for Diva Khat, there's a lot of like shoulder burden. I do really feel like a sense of there's a lot on your well centers. Like you push through life in a way that it almost feels like a power mask. Like I've got this, I can do this. Like I'm She-Ra, princess warrior. Like I know I can handle it all on my own. That's the sense I get from your energy field that I'm reading you right now.
Mm-hmm.
So does that resonate with you?
Huh.
Yeah.
That's amazing because I carry everything on my shoulder.
She does.
Yeah. Wow.
And you have to be open to receive it too. I think part of it's not just believing it. I think you have to be really open to receive the change. I mean, because you help people change and move forward. It's not just you're going to talk to me like a therapist. It's actually helping me transition to the next stage or the next level.
I see.
Now you feel, actually, because the difference is now you've like removed the skepticism and I can feel you're softening a bit so that you can experience this work in a newfound way. And I guess I'm a body reader and intuitive. I don't know how it comes about. It's just one of the things that working with people, you asked me like, what does it look like in a typical session? I'm trying to give a live example. I've never met this woman before in my life. So there's definitely harder shell that in the healing work can be softened by really deepening into what's here now.
And it helps you grow into your future too and realize your full potential. I think that can't be said enough. When I was a little broken or stuck from my divorce, I honestly didn't see a way forward. And now we've transitioned so much into just like elevating me to the next level or leveling up, that now that's most of our session now. It's not really, we may talk about a few things that happened, but most of it's now is how can we move me forward and elevate me to the next level?
I think that's an important recognition too, because I have a background like, what are your goals now? How do you want to be accountable to what that looks like? Not just like, I'm going to heal what's like present in your being, but you have goals and visions of what you want your life to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We are energetic beings. So what we think about creates more of the same. So when you want to manifest your future life, you plant a seed within your cellular level so that you can create this small growth, which eventually evolves into the bigger version of who you want to become. So by doing that with me, I'm planting seeds on a cellular level in your energy being so that you can create on a physical level and manifest like abundance, prosperity, and live from a state of grace and help you manifest your next partner, whatever that looks like. You know what I mean? I'm here for it.
She wants me to go younger. She's been trying to get me to date younger. And I'm like, I'm just open to the universe. Whoever matches my energy or matches my vibration, I'm open to that. And I am ready to receive, but I'm not in a rush. You know, it's like if it happens, it happens, but there's no rush. And I think that's something that you have to realize too. You don't want to rush the healing, but at the same time, you don't want to delay the healing. And I think some people are just expecting time to heal it. Like you said, time heals all things. It doesn't. And you really do need help through the process, because I know people that have been divorced for a couple years and they're nowhere close to being healed. I know guys that have been divorced for 4 to 5 years, and then you try to date them and they're still broken. And all they do is complain about their exes, and they don't have any forward thought moving forward. And they're so broken, they don't even want to get married ever again because they feel like everyone's the same. And that's not healed. That's not a healed person. If you
That's fear. That, is a good example of someone who's hasn't gone through the healing process.
I did date a guy that was still broken. He complains about his ex all the time, and he brings up that he doesn't want to get married again because he thinks all women are the same. That's not somebody who's healed, and he's been divorced for 4 or 5 years and still focusing on the past that much, and it's just not worth the time. I think probably 60 to 70% of the dating pool is not healed. You got a big job ahead of you, because most people, they don't heal right. Then they bring all their stuff to the next relationship, and then it ends miserably, and they blame the other person, but they should have fixed themselves first.
Don't you think people who on those dating apps, maybe they use that dating app to heal them?
Yeah, but that's the thing is, like, when I was dating that one guy, I didn't want to be his therapist. I wasn't there for me to fix him. I mean, I got in trouble trying to fix a person before. I don't want to fix anybody now. I'm there not to heal someone. My job is to love them, not to fix them. And if they can't do the inner work, I can't do anything for them. Now, I would support my partner when they go through troubling times, but I really think they need to get professional help. I really do.
It's so funny that you talk about men in the dating pool and internet dating and stuff like that, because I find that there's a lot of men who are unhealed around or projecting into the next conversation about expectations and what they want. And they're withdrawn a lot of the times, and or just not really present with the person that they're actually talking to. They're worried about recreating something from their past because they haven't healed their past. So they're projecting onto you or me or whoever they're dating because they haven't done their own inner work around what is present for them now, and all this projection.
And they think that you're just like their ex. And I think that's why there's so many people in situationships that don't want to commit, that just want to be friends with benefits, that don't want to go deep and be vulnerable and open. I understand they've been hurt before, and I get it. But you can't be in a relationship unless you can be open and vulnerable. It's part of a relationship. I'm willing, because I've healed, to get vulnerable and open in a relationship. I probably get too open and too vulnerable too early. That's probably one of my things. But I'm okay because I still have boundaries to protect myself. But I think that people don't get there ever when they get damaged to a certain level. And then they don't really feel love like they truly could. They don't fall. And the falling is the funnest part. The really loving someone and getting love back, that's the funnest part. And I think people forgot that. And they're just so about protecting themselves that they don't get to experience it anymore.
I think it's crazy, because when I open myself and be vulnerable with a man on a dating website, half the time either they ghost you or they're like projecting that I'm going to be something like their ex. So it's so crazy to me how there's a lot of wounded men in the world that have not done their work. I don't want to generalize, because that's not fair.
Yep.
It's not fair to say that all men are unhealed. I do want to say that there's a lot of boys who are in men's bodies and have one thing on their mind and are ready to go from 0 to 60 with no attachment. And I know for this particular being, as a woman who's evolved, I need you to be able to communicate in a clear and loving way and be able to show up and have conversations before I'm even like, that's attractive. I'm attracted to you physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, all of it. Because for me, I need the whole package. I'm not like, it's nice if you look pretty, but if you can't talk to me and have like a deep, meaningful conversation, deuces.
Yes, that's what a high value woman is, though. Someone that can feel deeper and truly love someone, and you're a high value woman. And men keep going for these women that are shallow or fake or plastic or Barbie doll that has no depth. And then they wonder why they get hurt. It's because they keep going for these low value women that a lot of times they have been broken and they haven't healed. And I did talk to one man once, and he told me that one of the things he keeps seeing, he's gone on a lot of first dates. And he said that the women, they've lost their identity and they feel like they need to find their identity in men and not in themselves. And they don't realize they need to go inward before they even start dating. And if they don't fix themselves, what do you have to bring to the table with a high-value man? You don't really have anything to bring, because a high-value man doesn't want the fakeness. He doesn't want the superficiality. He wants a woman that's going to show up, that's emotionally mature and emotionally available.
Right. Which brings us back to why you need an energy healer to work on your identity and recognize that like you are a high-value woman underneath it all. And you told me that when you were 20, you had it going on and that you really had this strong, empowered sense of self, and in the marriage had lost that part of yourself because of the ways in which you had to play it small. And so it's really relearning the depths of who we are as the essence of who we are, and unlocking the destructive patterns that were created through life and people, whether they intentionally or unintentionally wounded us. I think that that's where this healing journey is. It's about spiritual growth and looking back into the history of our first 8 years of life and recognizing those very impactful relationships that had, whether they meant to or not, created belief systems within us that impacted who we are and how we think.
Yeah, and I think it helps us because you get to know yourself then. And when you get to know yourself, you actually can then find exactly what you're looking for in a partner. There are a lot of women that are fine being by themselves, and I applaud that. But I do want to love again. And because I have a big heart. I don't know if I will in this lifetime, because I'm not going to settle for anything that's not right for me, but I'm open to it and I'm vulnerable. I'm not so vulnerable that I get stomped on. I do have boundaries and I do have walls, but I don't think I would be able to even get there, because I remember telling you in the very beginning, I don't think I'll be able to trust anyone ever again. And I've trusted a couple guys. Now, a couple of them have let me down, but I have trusted and I've been open to believing them. I realize that there is a person out there for me, even though I haven't found one yet. I just have such a faith. Because if I have this much love to give, somebody else has that much love to give as well. And that's my belief. There's got to be a man out there to match me.
It has to be.
There has to. It's a reciprocal relationship, right? That's what I'm looking for. And I think women that have big hearts, if they don't heal, they're doing a disservice to themselves and their future.
100%. I agree with that.
Women have such a divine feminine quality that we could heal the whole world if we just allowed ourselves to open up and be vulnerable and to love again. Because most women are all about love. Most women have such a caring spirit and soul, and that's what attracts men. Honestly, that is truly what attracts men. The women that are vindictive and manipulative and game players, men don't want that long term. They might play with it for a little bit, but that's not what they're looking for. Men truly want the supportive partner, the person that gives them love, that gives them joy, that makes them happy without the anxiety and the stress. And women bring men peace, and the right man should bring a woman peace too.
Absolutely.
I always believe there's always someone for someone.
I know. I have faith. I have complete faith. And whether I find them or not, that's whatever, but I'm not changing who I am to fit someone else's mold. And a lot of women, when they don't have an identity, they change who they are to fit someone else's mold, and that's not healing. An energy healer will walk you through that. They'll take you through those steps. They'll help you detach I remember we were detaching cords from me and my ex for a long time. There are a lot of cords. In fact, there's probably still some there. I mean, we still have a lot of cords, especially when you're with someone for a long period of time. And the energy healer, you don't have to be married to use an energy healer. You may have really put yourself out there in just a relationship, a deep relation. Maybe you were with somebody for a couple years and you thought they were the one and they destroyed you. But the reality is you allowed it to happen. If you were serious, we allow people to destroy us because we weren't strong enough inside to fight back. And now you have the ability to go and like work on the parts of you that allow someone to destroy you, because I'm still vulnerable and I'm still loving. But when I get disappointed by someone, it doesn't destroy me anymore. It doesn't knock me on my butt. I mean, I can move on. If it's just not the right fit, I just believe God has a better plan for me out there. And I just say next. And you know what? I wish everybody on their path to find who they want. But if they're not the right one, that's okay. Maybe they'll find someone else that fits their current situation or their current aura or level where they're at.
Everybody finds somebody all the time.
And you do a lot with chakras. Let's kind of, I know we're wrapping things up, but let's talk a little bit about chakras and the different chakras and how they play into what you have to do to heal.
So the chakra system is basically built, there are 7 major chakras. The first chakra is about trust and how we have like a foundational like trust within ourselves and how we trust others. And there's different layers of the aura, which then impact the healing experience.
And that's the root chakra, right?
That's the root chakra. With women, a lot of times there's disconnection in the third chakra because it's how are we with our self-esteem, self-worth, gut instincts, being able to like really understand our personal power and how we like accept ourselves and how others view us, you know, like the judgment of how we allow what other people think of us to impact, you know, and learning to like really remove that from the systems so that you can be authentically you and walk in the world so that you're not people pleasing or over giving or, you know, minimizing or denying what you think about or care about so that the other person is happy. You know, a lot of times women tend to, the fifth chakra, lose their voice or give in to what other people want in order to make them happy rather than standing in your own true power and recognizing that doesn't work for me any longer. And really like having that meaningful relationship when you can be fully aligned and clear in your chakra system, that heart, you know, like giving from a place of boundaried love and not over giving where you're giving yourself away, right? Because the heart is about love, generosity, compassion. And so when it's in alignment or in balance, we are in flow. But if it's out of balance or we're missing a piece of it, a lot of times we feel resentful or discouraged or playing it small. And so, I mean, those are just a few examples of what the chakra system can uncover on a psychological level, on an emotional level. So as you work through these like imbalances in the chakra system, it helps with moving through all of those aspects of ourselves. And then some, there's more.
And I learned at Miraval, there's different foods that help as well with your chakras. Kind of the different colors of foods. If you eat different foods, they help heal parts of your chakra. And I also learned that anger, if you don't let it out, you store it in your liver. Learned that one. I know that one. So I think that people develop diseases because they don't heal their energy. And it's not just healing your mindset, it's also healing your body. And if you don't heal yourself, it's why I think a lot of people, they go through a divorce and then they get an illness because it's stressful. And you develop a disease in your body, it manifests based off of the stress from the divorce. And the energy healing, it helps heal your body and make so you don't get diseases. So and when you do have a disease, the energy healer helps you rid your body of that disease as well. So people need to really look at this whole body. I know a lot of people are getting into frequency now and frequency healing and sound, and that's all part of energy healing as well.
Energy healings help with diseases, but it's also a dis-ease in your body. So on a physical level, it's manifesting as a disease. On an energetic level, it's dis-ease in your emotional like chakra system, which, shows up in unmanifested anger in the liver or, anxiety in the heart. Anxiety is now really impacting our world in such a big way. And a lot of it has to do with the overstimulation of our environments. If you're on a screen a majority of the time, you're not giving your nervous system enough time to downgrade or calm down because we're being bombarded in so many different ways. And that creates an anxiety level because we're overstimulated all the time. And so that dis-ease has to do with finding a way to create calm in your system, to slow down enough to be able to recognize there is something amiss.
Yeah.
I see.
Do you have any other questions, Diva Khat?
No?
Well, I think we covered it all. At least we gave people a good idea about what you offer and what you do. We're going to actually put your website link in the description of our podcast.
Absolutely.
I think that's a great note to end on. And I think if you actually do go through the healing process, this is just another way to help you heal and help you heal quickly. The longer I think it takes, the longer likely you're going to get stuck. So the faster you can do it, the better. So I want to thank you so much, Kathryn, for coming on and giving us your time, your valuable time today. I truly appreciate that. And hopefully some people learned some things today.
Yeah, we all need to learn something.
We all need to learn, yeah?
Absolutely. To work with an energy healer, you just need an open mind, willingness, and being willing to be honest with yourself so that you can move through the emotions, not go over it, not go under it, but really allow yourself to be present in it.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Diva Kathryn. This is Diva Mia signing off.
This is Diva Khat. Thank you so much.
You guys have a wonderful week.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. We love hearing from you. Visit thedivadetails.com to connect. See you next week for more.
Diva Details podcast and website are intended solely for informational and entertainment purposes. The content provided does not constitute professional, medical, financial, or legal advice. We are not licensed medical practitioners, financial advisors, or legal professionals. Always consult with a qualified healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Any financial topics discussed are based on personal opinions and experience and should not be considered professional advice. The content provided does not constitute legal advice. The Diva Details and its affiliate contributors and guests are not liable for any losses or damages arising from the use of our content. The opinions expressed in the podcast are solely those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views of any affiliated organization, sponsors, or partner. All facts discussed in the podcast are researched and accurate to the best of our knowledge at the time of recording. Information may change over time. No guarantees are made regarding the accuracy, completeness, or reliability of any statements or opinions presented. It is the responsibility of the listener to verify any and all facts that may influence their decision. This podcast is for information and entertainment purposes only and should not be considered professional advice.